Reggie Miller, our great buddy from NBA and TNT. Reggie will be on the call Thursday night for Heat at Hawks. McLovin's Hawks, 7 p.m. Eastern with Kevin Harlan. Halloween night doubleheader includes Nuggets at the Pelicans, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Reggie, before we get started with the NBA stuff, you're in Los Angeles. We remember what happened with the fires there last year. They came right up basically, literally to your back door. How is everything where you are out there and what you're dealing with?
Well, we've relocated to Calabasas while the Malibu house gets a love makeover. As you mentioned, the flames came all the way up, and the smoke damage and the patio, and so we're in the process of redoing some things there in Malibu. So we're over in Calabasas, and it's real here. It's obviously we call it fire season around here with the Santa Ana winds. The brave men and women, first responders, have been unbelievable, and they get a little bit of break right now because the winds aren't going, but from what I've been hearing, tomorrow is supposed to be the worst of all the days in terms of gust of wind, anywhere between 50 to 70 mile an hour winds. So we hear and feel your prayers, so we thank you guys. But as of now, so far so good. But we're, everyone's pulling for one another here to, find safe refuge somewhere and hole up, and we'll all get through this together.
That's good to hear, Reggie. As you know, we do wish you the best. No easy segue here, but let's get right to it. Week 1 in Los Angeles for both basketball teams. If you were a fan, I'll start with the Clippers. After week 1, do you feel better, worse, exactly like you expected to be about this team?
For the Clippers, exactly what I thought. Again, no Paul George, and they're still 3-1. Kawhi Leonard is playing at an MVP clip. I knew their defense would be good, and they've shown that. But what's been impressive and what we saw from the Clippers last season was that unbelievable bench led by the sixth man of the year, the 3-time sixth man of the year, Lou Williams, and his running mate, Montrezl Harrell. But now that they've added like Mo Harkless, to the bunch, JaMychal Green, they're long, they're athletic, and they really get after you defensively. So it's not a big drop-off from the starters to the bench. And for the Lakers, with all these teams that have added new pieces, like Houston adding Russell Westbrook, to add Anthony Davis to play alongside LeBron James and a lot of these new players, I think it's going to take some time. I think Frank Vogel has done a great job of playing Anthony Davis a little bit more at that center position. I know he's not high on that, but when they play small with LeBron at 4 and AD at 5, they are a beast in the open court. So when they go small and they have Caruso at that smaller lineup, more three-point shooting, and they're more athletic.
Reg, going back to the Clippers for a second, Patrick Beverley is a guard, but he's really more of a defensive pest, a defensive stopper, and he's becoming kind of the Clippers version of Draymond Green, maybe the version of Ron Artest when he was at his best, where part of his job is to frustrate the other team and the star player. How important is a role like that to a championship team?
He's one of those guys. Yeah, I put him in the same breath like Bill Laimbeer or Dennis Rodman. You hated to play against those guys, but you wish they were on your team. And he's an agitator, and he doesn't back down, and he knows his job is, number one, to play defense, pick up full, disrupt the offense, and make an occasional wide-open three, which he's been getting a lot of. So.
Like, could you imagine, Reg, if you were in your heyday, he would be on you, specifically, on and off the ball?
Well, I'll put it like this. He's too little to guard me. I would have put him right down there in the post and just shot over him. But I get where – you saw last year him guarding Kevin Durant. He started this year guarding LeBron James. So size doesn't obviously matter with Pat Bev, but I love his heart. And his team, they feed off of that. The key for Patrick Beverley, he's going to have to stay healthy because he plays with a reckless abandon. He sacrifices his body. So you hope he can stay healthy throughout the duration of the regular season.
Reggie, we had a poll question last week that caused a lot of problems, and I don't think you got a chance to weigh in. We asked who's a better player right now, Kawhi Leonard or LeBron, and that was out there last week. Dan said LeBron. Can you see Dan's case?
Right now, as we speak?
Right now, this year, not 3 years.
I have to disagree with that. Right now, I would say Kawhi Leonard is the better player. This is what LeBron's 17th season. He's 34 years old. Still great, still a top 5 player, but he doesn't bring the same defensive identity that Kawhi. He's not as disruptive defensively as Kawhi has been the last couple of years and even at the start of this season. Don't get me wrong, he can rise to that level, but right now the best two-way player and the best player between those two, in my opinion, is Kawhi Leonard.
Reggie, Brandon Ingram seems to be coming into his own this season. Is that a product more of where he's playing or just sort of that maturity of his 4th season?
For New Orleans?
Yeah.
I think it was a breath of fresh air. It's a lot of pressure to play with LeBron and the Lakers because there's a lot of expectations, and not a lot of people can do it. I mean, you can almost make the same case like for the Yankees. For the Yankees, it's championship or bust, basically. Well, for the Lakers and for the Celtics, it's basically championship or bust. And when you're on that stage and you're playing with the best player of his generation in LeBron, well, expectations come with that. And when you were a top 3 pick like Ingram was, and you come out and don't play up to your capabilities, well, you're probably going to hear it from your critics. So I think going to New Orleans was a breath of fresh air for him. It gives a chance to relax, and I think with the injury to Zion Williamson, this is a chance for him to kind of establish his roots there and bring out his game, and we're seeing the athleticism that we saw while he was at Duke. He just needs to kind of parlay that and extend it and see if he can, get a run going where he has good weeks that run into months, and hopefully he can be one of those players that Coach Gentry can count on once Williamson comes back.
Reggie, I was looking at what Russell Westbrook had to say after the game. I was always interested in your mindset, how you can go from, being playful before a game and, maybe you're cordial with guys on the other team. But this is what Russell Westbrook had to say after the game about his mindset and his reference to who he's friends and not friends with.
This is how it goes. When I hoop, I have no friends. On the court, they know not to talk to me, but Steven's a real close friend of mine. But on inside those lines, there's no friends. Spalding, that's my friend, and my teammates, and that's it. But before the game, after the game, I'll talk to my guys. I'll go talk to them right now, but doesn't mean that I don't have friends. But during the game, I don't. It's that simple. If you try to be my friend, I ain't going to say shit to you.
So what do you make of that as far as your mindset and how you could relate to what Westbrook just said?
Amen. That's how it should be. I'm tired of all the hugs and the kisses and, patting each other on the back. That's how you're supposed to approach it.
But he's an anomaly right now, Reg. That's not how most NBA players are. Most of them have partnerships and deals and banana boats, and he's old school.
And I love that. That's kind of how I was taught from Magic and Michael Cooper and Byron Scott. Don't ever help anyone up off the floor, and your band of brothers, your teammates, that's who you can count on, and that's how you kind of go into war and into battle, and I think Russell has that persona, and at times people think he's a little bit aloof, but that's just Russ being Russ. I love the dog in him. I'm not out here to be your friend. I'm not out here to pick you up. I ain't out here to pat you on the back. I'm out here to go through your chest and dunk on you and embarrass you. I mean, you've got to have that. These are the best players in the world, the most talented players in the world, and if you don't have that mindset that you're one of the best and you're out here to be the alpha dog, then you're going to get eaten up by some of these great players.
Reggie Miller joining us in the Dan Pat Show. Reggie on the call. Hawks hosting the Heat, 7 p.m. Eastern with Kevin Harlan on TNT. Right after that, Nuggets at the Pelicans. Let's go with the Hawks. Even though the Hawks are kind of the team where you're not sure if they're going to be good yet, it seems like Trae Young, their young guard out of Oklahoma, is hitting his stride. He's averaging 34 points per game, leading the team in assists, second in rebounds. Seems like an obvious question, but he does seem like the high-end byproduct of Steph Curry.
I agree, and he's one of those players where you can build around. He has ice water in his veins where there's a lot of guys that shy away at the end. You guys know this, shy away at the end of the games. They might have a great game all the way up to that point, but when it comes to winning time, do you really want to take that shot? Are you the one who really wants to make those big plays? Trae Young is one of those players who wants to make the big play. He doesn't shy away from the moment or the spotlight. And I think this is a good, hardworking, young Atlanta Hawks team. You can build around Young. You can build around Collins, Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter out of Duke. So they've got some great young players. Coach Pierce is doing a good job of letting the reins loose to allow them to get up and play in transition a little bit more and use that youth. It was a tough loss last night at home versus Philadelphia. You know, they were in control of that game, and that's the kind of knocks you're going to take from this young team. They play hard up to a certain extent, but teams that have more talent and more veteran presence can beat them solely on that. They're going to have to learn and find a way to win these close games if they have if they want to have a shot of scratching in at that eighth spot in the Eastern Conference.
Speaking of the Sixers, Reggie, 3-0, the only 3-0 Eastern Conference team. The guys are going to kill me for saying this. It seems like the process might be complete now.
Three games.
Is the process over? Is this the best team in the East?
Along with Milwaukee. But the thing with the process is how many games is the process going to play? Because you know they're going to go towards load management. It's a long season. If he plays 72 to 75 games, I do think they will have home court advantage. If he plays less than that, I believe Milwaukee will have the best record. To me, those are the two best teams in the Eastern Conference, and then probably followed up by Boston. And after that, it's a crapshoot in the Eastern Conference. So the most talented teams, in my opinion, are out west, but two of the best teams that can win championships are in the East, and that's Milwaukee and Philadelphia.
Is Ben Simmons, we saw a lot of videos of improving his shot. Is he ready to hit a three-pointer and be kind of an MVP candidate?
I won't believe it until I see it. I saw it during the exhibition season, and it was the lead story on SportsCenter. But until I see it in live action and not in an exhibition preseason game, it's the one thing, especially come playoff time. During the regular season, he'll be able to skirt around it and get around it because you play one team and you move on to the next, and there's not a lot of time to prepare. But once you get locked into a playoff series, which we saw last year, and teams start taking away your A, B, and C move, and you've got to be able to go into your bag of tricks and invent something until he gets a jump shot. And I'm not talking about a three. I don't want him shooting threes.
Really?
But a consistent no, 15 to 18, because of his length, along with Giannis. If those dudes got a 15, 18, 21-foot jump, face you up and knock that down like MJ. Because now you got to crowd them, and now it's one dribble, and they're putting fouls on your centers and getting to the free throw line.
Right, but Reg,
they're that talented.
Ben Simmons is 0 for 17 in his career. First 2 years, 0 for 11, 0 for 6. This year, he's 0 for 0. In the preseason, he hit a three, and the place went berserk, and it's almost like a comic relief moment. Wouldn't it be good if he jacked up a few threes early, nail one, and get that off his back, and we don't ever talk about it then, and go back to being that mid-range shooter that you talked about? Just jack a few up, losing or winning, just put them up early and get it over with.
Paulie, I don't think that's in his DNA, though. You know, he's not one of those. He plays a lot like LeBron, where he plays the right way, so he's not going to come out just to jack threes to get one down so people will get off his back. I think he's biding his time until he finds the right three. I know he's worked on his three this past summer. We know that. You know, the evidence is all on Instagram and YouTube and all that of him working on his shot. It'll come. He'll be patient. I'm just saying if he wants to take that next step and be that MVP candidate you just alluded to him being, he's going to have to be a consistent face-up jump shooter because he is so talented with his back to the basket. He's great with both hands around the basket, a 6'8", 6'9" point guard, but he's got to be able to keep the defense honest with that jump shot.
Last question about that. Reggie, Ben Simmons is 0 for 17 in his career. Do you think, and I'm being very serious about this, practice, game, anywhere, playground, you ever miss 17 three-pointers in a row in your entire life from birth to now?
Did I?
Yes. I'm saying joking around in the backyard, playing for the Pacers, playing for UCLA.
No, I don't think I could have ever missed 17 in a row. I'm sure it may have happened.
Nope. We actually checked.
No.
We went back to your grade school, your high school. You never missed 17 in a row.
It's coming, Ben. Stay patient. Don't jack up threes like Paulie wants you to be. Take your time, but do work on your 15 to 18 footer, because if he got that down, Giannis, if you're already an MVP, you would be in the Jordan type stratosphere if Giannis got a jump shot. It's scary if Giannis gets one.
Reggie, by the way, I don't know if you saw the headline. Dan Patrick himself is competing in our 3-on-3 league, or considering maybe owning a team, maybe playing like Jordan and the Wizards, the AUAA. But as you know, Dan is suffering with kidney stones. Might take a while to get his legs back. If Dan Patrick is not ready for the beginning of the season, are you willing to step in Dan's place in the Danette 3-on-3 basketball
Reggie's a little
tournament?
busy. He's got like 4 jobs.
Well, I do. Thank you, Paulie. I do got to work, but I am a fifth Danette, correct?
Yes.
Right? And I am part of the family, correct?
Yes.
Just call me Mariano
Yeah.
Rivera, baby. Go to the bullpen.
That's what I'm talking
and
about.
Signal out, and I got your back.
Huge
I got
news.
your back, Theodore.
Huge news for the brand. What an upgrade to this league. Because our best player in league history is Andrew McLovin-Perloff. To go from that to Reggie Miller would be a huge jump for the league.
I'm with you guys.
Reg, thanks a lot.
Going to come and mess with my boys, all right?
Thanks a lot for joining us. Hope it's all going well out there. Thanks a lot, bud.
Thank you, gentlemen.
That was Reggie Miller, NBA and TNT. Great friend of the show, great family member of the show.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.